How to avoid career regrets. This is something that I get asked all the time as a 20-year career coaching veteran and the host of this live podcast, Just Ask JT. Today, I'm going to talk about career regrets that I see, common career regrets, and some of the simple things you can do to avoid having them happen to you. Look, all of us live our lives trying to do the best that we can. We try to get it right, but invariably something comes along and we have a misstep. It's easy to look back and see where we went wrong. We like to call those moments of accountability, meaning if we could do it all over again, here's what we do differently. And those are powerful things. I mean, mistakes in our career teach us, it's how we learn and grow. But I think all of us would like to avoid some of the more monumental career regrets, things that are harder to bounce back from. And so today I want to talk about a few of those and what you can do to really be careful so that they don't happen to you. And as always, I will take some questions at the end related to this topic, so get ready. By the way, folks, if you want to make sure that you always get notified about my live podcast and that you get access to the recordings, all you have to do is sign up for my free resource center. There's no credit card required. It gives you exclusive access to all my lives as well as some of my proprietary job search and coaching materials. So check out the link. You'll find it in my bio on TikTok. You'll find it down below here if you're on LinkedIn or YouTube. Again, it's free resource center, and it's just a great place for you to all come together, right? We can be a powerful community in there together. So let's get started. All right, career regrets. I think the biggest career regret I see people have is getting fired. So if you have ever been fired, you may or may not want to do a shout out right now because we're broadcasting live. But if you've ever been unexpectedly let go, there's a lot of anxiety around that, frustration and confusion. And people who come in and work with me and work it daily who have been fired, one of the first things we do is process that, because it holds you back from getting your next job. If you carry that baggage with you, you might not you might think, "Oh no, I hide it well," but you don't. We can pick up on a lot in interviewing, and usually what happens is you think you're hiding it, you're not. You don't get the results you're looking for, and then you lose confidence. And so, if you want to avoid having the career regret of getting fired, there's some things that are really important that you do in your current career. And that is, you have to be the driver of your business bus. So you'll hear me talk a lot here. Don't think of yourself as an employee, because I think when we think of ourselves as employees, we think of ourselves as like having golden handcuffs. We can't, we don't have control. They have more control. They're up here, we're down here. And it ends up creating a bit of a victim mentality, to be perfectly honest. So I don't want that for you. As your career coach, I want you to see that you are in full control. And so we say, look, you're a business of one who's partnering with a company, not working for them, partnering with them. And so when we partner, it means that we both have to know what our interests are, what we want out of this partnership, and we both need to be stewards of that. And it's on us, if we're not getting what we want out of the partnership, to recognize it and do something about it. So let me play out some scenarios. People who come to me who have been fired and really regret it, usually their story goes something like this. JT, when I started out, things were great, and then things changed. And I knew they changed. I knew the environment wasn't good. I knew some things happened, but I just figured it would pass, right? That we would figure it out. And over time, it really didn't. But at that point, I didn't want to leave. I didn't feel like looking for a new job. I just figured if I could put my head down, I could make it work, and ultimately I got fired. And so, where in that do we see the mistake? The career regret is the first warning sign that the relationship that you have is no longer syncing. You need to explore why. We don't let that fester. It's like a paper cut. If you ignore it, it's going to get infected. And so, as a business partner, you have to first say the relationship was fine until when. And when we see that moment and we can isolate that moment, we need to proactively start working on rectifying that. Having conversations with our boss or our coworkers or whatever the problem is, seeking outside counsel and resources, whatever we can do. And we need to make a decision relatively quickly. Because if in our hearts we can tell this isn't something that's going to change, what we don't do is sit tight and just watch it all unfold. We take full control of our situation and we start looking for a new job. That is the truth. It is always easier to get a job when you have a job. So if you recognize that this business partnership isn't going well anymore and you try a few things to solve it and it's clear it's really not going to get any better, We don't ignore it like a paper cut. We don't let it get infected. We look for a new job because we know it is easier to get a job when we have a job. And that is the reality, folks. And this happens all the time, all the time. So I don't want you getting fired when you full well know that 6 months ago you saw the writing on the wall and didn't do anything, right? So, folks, I can't stress it enough. If that situation sounds like you right now, do not delay in looking for a new job. You need to start looking, okay? Now, another career regret that I hear from people is getting blindsided. So, being blindsided by a layoff, had a lot of that in the last year, a lot of clients coming in and saying, JT, I never saw it coming. Or they got laid off and they kind of knew a layoff was coming, but they didn't approach it the way they should have. They thought, well, gee, it's just been so stressful lately. I'm going to take some time off for myself. I got laid off, especially if they got severance. I hear a lot of people say, well, they gave me 6 months severance. And so I'm going to take 3 or 4 months off for me and regroup and then, be the best version of me. And then I'll be ready to move forward in my job search. I have heard that a lot lately. The problem is it's a very different job market. And as I just said in the last example, it is harder to get a job when you don't have one. So, as much as you want to, after being laid off, sort of lick your wounds and kind of regroup, the amount of time you take off should not be months. My clients, I say, you can have a week. You can have a week, maybe two. And then we're at it, we're in it, and we're figuring it out because the sooner you get out there and get going, the faster you can get scooped up and close this chapter, this gap, because gaps are difficult to explain. And a lot of people regret, they come to me, this year alone, and it was a perfect storm. Let me just talk about this for a moment. The layoffs have been going on since 2023, and people were getting laid off, but hearing in the media that there's 2 jobs for every one person, there's a huge job market, I can get whatever I want. And then usually around the 9-month mark is when people will start to seek me out and say, JT, what's wrong with me? Everyone's saying it's a great job market, but I've been laid off for 9 months now. So then we'll start to talk and I'll say, well, when did you really start looking for work? And they're like, 4 months ago. I'm like, okay, well, so that's part of the problem. But there's also this magic number, like it or not, folks, that once you get past 6 months of unemployment, people start to wonder why. It's very similar to when a house goes on the market and it doesn't sell right away. If a house has been on the market more than 30 to 60 days, people start to assume there's something wrong. In the hiring world, it's 6 months, even in a bad economy. And so people will regret this. What's my advice, folks? Just assume that any day that you could walk into your job and be eliminated. Because that's the truth. Unless you're a union worker and there's some contracts around you, you are an at-will employee. An at-will employee can be fired at any time, can be laid off at any time. And so if we all said, all right, look, the truth is I could get laid off at any time. I'm going to have my to-go bag, my ready bag. You hear about a ready bag if you ever needed to run out the door for something. Well, everybody needs a ready bag in job search. You should always be regularly updating your LinkedIn profile. You should always have a current copy of your resume. And you should have a bucket list of companies that hire for your skill set that you're networking and nurturing. And if you were to do that, and that doesn't take a long time to do, if you have a system like that, you're talking, my company's called Work It Daily. It's not called Work It All Day. We show people how to do this in 15 minutes a day. I mean, you waste more time, we all do, on social media, scrolling and doom scrolling and binge watching. If we were all to peel off 15 minutes a day to work on our career, right? Not in our job, but on our career and be working on this, you would never be blindsided by an unexpected layoff. You would be fully mobilized. And I know that for a fact because I've been doing this so long, it's embarrassing to say, right? But I've been doing this for so long that I have clients who come back to me multiple times. And so I have a lot of first-time clients who got fired or laid off years ago. They learn these things that I'm teaching you, and then they unexpectedly get laid off a few years later, and they'll come back to tell me that they were so proud of themselves because they were ready, and they immediately got a new job. And oftentimes they end up telling me that the job they got laid off, but the job they got was better. And they wouldn't have even thought of leaving their old company, but because they laid them off, they did, and now they got a better job. But that doesn't happen if you're not ready. So if you want to avoid being blindsided in your career, you got to have your ready bag. You've got to, and it's simple things that you can be doing 15 minutes a day, Monday through Friday. I'll give you the weekends off, folks. But it's a simple system of making sure that you've got the career insurance in the form of the efforts that you've taken to protect yourself, right? Now, another common mistake that I hear, like that people really regret, is taking the wrong job. And so if you've ever taken the wrong job before, you get in there and you're like, whoa, this was not how it was described to me. Okay. This is not what I expected. But even bigger, a regret with that is they stay. They feel like, well, there's this rule out there that you need to stay for a job at least a year. No, you don't. No, you don't. If you take a job and you get there and you figure out that they are absolutely the wrong job for you, we look for a new job ASAP. Go back to my earlier example. You're a business one, you're a service provider. You are in a partnership with your employer. If you get in there and find out the partner lied to get you in the door, that's not a partner we stay with long term. We get rid of that partner. Now, we don't just quit. We go find a new partner and then we can quit. Okay. But one of the ways you can avoid this happening is by getting very good at job interviewing. You might think, well, what do you mean by that, JT? Well, you're going into job interviews and trying to show them you're the must have candidate. And I talk all the time here about providing your UVA, your unique value add, showing them how you save the money, make the money, solve problems, alleviate pain. I talk about this nonstop because that's why they really hire you. They hire you for the benefits you provide them, not your features, not your skill sets, but how you're going to use those skill sets, those features in order to benefit them. And so when you get really good at interviewing, you become the must-have candidate. But what it also does is when you become the must-have candidate, it enables you to ask questions to look under the hood and kick the tires. See, once you've been burned by an employer, you never want to be in that situation again. And so you know how to tactfully ask some open-ended questions that will give you a sense as to whether or not they're telling the truth or not. Now, is it 100% foolproof? No, but I can tell you right now, a lot of people who have learned my interviewing techniques have been able to spot a company and say, oh, red flags here. Red flags. This is not a partner that I want to pursue. And that's a real sign of maturity, right? And if you do get in there and you recognize it fast, go back to my earlier example, we know our worth. We know that we were lied to. We move on. We go find a new job. But we find a new job because it's much harder to get a job when you don't have one, so we don't up and quit. We learn our lesson, but we find a new job, right? So these are just some of the career regrets that are very popular inside my Work It Daily platform. People come in and say, I got fired. I really regret how that happened. I got blindsided from a layoff. I really regret how that happened. I took the wrong job. I stayed there. I hate how that happened. I mean, these are really, really common regrets that people face. The last one I'll just say that comes along is that people feel like they ended up in the wrong career. I have a lot of people who come to me, we call it mid-career crisis. And what happens normally is that they graduate and they take the first job that comes along. I call it the first job that comes along syndrome because I feel like it's an illness. It's kind of an epidemic. We don't know how to interview. We need a paycheck. We take a job. And then we're in that job for a while and we figure out what we do want, we don't want. We try to make a pivot. But if we don't really do the right self-assessment, we will tend to just keep trying to take jobs that pay better or sound better. And then you wake up somewhere in your late 20s or 30s and you've got 7 to 10 years of experience in a field you don't even want to be in. And to start over means going to the bottom, including pay. So if you want to avoid that mistake, you don't want to end up down a career path that feels dead end to you or super unfulfilling to you, the solution there is some serious strengths of self-esteem. And I'll be honest, when I built my practice, that was the most important thing that I did. It became my signature thing. I wanted to very deeply understand my clients as quickly as possible. I didn't want them to have to spend session after session after session sharing stories with me so I could figure them out. And so I'm an engineer. I'm a logic girly. I'm a nerd. So I built 7 assessment tools. And I said, if I can assess you in these 7 areas, if you take these tests, I will be able to understand you, your unique combination of skills and abilities, your UVA, your unique value add. I will be able to articulate that to you. And when I articulate it to you, you'll go, oh my gosh, she's like psychic. I'm not psychic. It's just these tools are deadly accurate and they help me understand you. And then we can pivot you in the direction of a career path that actually works for you. And more importantly, if you're down the road a bit in a career, we can pivot you so that you don't have to start over. called lily padding. And so we show you how to jump into an industry and then jump into a skill set or vice versa so that you ultimately get where you want to be. So if you want to avoid the, career regret of just being in a career that's not a fit for you, the solution is self-assessment. And the good news is that I can't work with all of you one-on-one. I would love to. And certainly if you're interested in working with me, you can DM me on LinkedIn and there's a link. You can book a call with me. But I can't work with everyone, obviously. And so I took my 7 tools, my professional strengths assessment, and a video where I explained it all, and I put it in our free resource center. So all you free resource center folks, it's your lucky day. You already have access to my assessment, my professional strengths assessment that helps you unlock your UVA, your unique value add. If you're not a free resource center member, no problem. Today's your day. There's no credit card required, nothing. All you have to do is go to the link in my bio or down below, or go to workitdaily.com. It says free resource center in the tab at the top, and you can sign up and get instant access to my professional strengths assessment. It also includes how to choose a career path. I've got 2 videos in there for you. So one, I would say take the strengths assessment, but then watch the video on how to choose a career path. These are my signature programs I've been doing for 20 years, and they're totally free for you to use. All right. So again, I'm going to recap for you. The most common career regrets I see as a 20-year career coaching veteran. If you have one, give me a shout out. 1, getting fired. 2, getting unexpectedly blindsided by a layoff or a career change or something in your career, right? Number 3, choosing the wrong career path, ending up in a career path that just feels dead end. Or number 4, getting into a job that wasn't what you thought it was, right? Not necessarily in that order. In any respect, the free resource center has a set of 4 videos in there that can help you address this, because I've seen it. I swear, I've seen it all. I wish I could tell you how many times people come to me and they go, JT, I guarantee you've never heard a story like this, or I guarantee I'm unique. And, I smile and nod, but the truth is, folks, I've been around the block too many times, and everyone has the same. There's 6 career problems in total. Pretty soon I'm going to be revealing some training on that, but there's only 6 career problems. And with 20 years of doing this and using my GLOW method, gain perspective, illuminate the goal, own your actions, work it daily. I mean, I practice what I preach. This methodology addresses all 6 of these career problems. And so the good news is that if you're struggling right now, there's a way to solve it. You aren't in new uncharted territory. There is a way to solve it. All you need is education. You need information. You need knowledge. Knowledge is power. No one can take your knowledge away from you. Think about that. Getting smarter, taking information in, is powerful. And that's why the Free Resource Center became so important this year, because I needed to be able to give more people their knowledge and their power, because I can't work with everybody one-on-one, And so please take me up on that. I promise you, if you don't want to have career regrets, especially the 4 that I just revealed to you, there are things you can do. Tried and true, proven things you can do to avoid those regrets. I promise you. Okay? Awesome. I hope that made sense. I really do. And I see a lot of people sharing in the comments their own stories. And again, I think you can see, like, it always comes down to some of these basic situations, which I have to tell you is good news. Your story, the details might shift, but the overall problem is the same, which means it can be solved, especially with the GLOW method, especially with my 4 steps. So I'm excited for you to watch those videos. Folks, the videos are short. They're easy to consume. Sit back and listen, and just, get smarter, get empowered. We all are paying an ignorance tax in our lives, all of us. We all are trying to make things happen at any given time in our lives, and it's the fact that there are things we don't know that are holding us back. So the smarter, the more educated we get on a subject, we pay down the tax, we get results. Job search, career development, this is one of these areas that for some strange reason, people think they're supposed to figure out for themselves, which is just silly. We use doctors, dentists, lawyers, accountants, financial planners, personal trainers. We use all sorts of specialists in our lives to educate us and give us what we need to be successful. But somehow we're supposed to figure out our careers all by ourselves. You deserve a coach. You should have a career coach. A career coach is a path to greatness, not a sign to weakness. Why do all sports players have coaches? Right? So you deserve a coach in your career as well. And that's why I'm so glad that I'm doing this podcast live 3 times a week, and that I built the Free Resource Center. It's an incredible community of thousands. We've had thousands of people join us in that program, that free program. And it's just amazing what we're all doing together. So I hope you decide to join me on that. Awesome. Okay. Listen, I'll be back again tomorrow live. If you want to come join me, please do. I would absolutely love to see you there. You can check out the upcoming in the Free Resource Center. You can see the calendar of events. And you can watch all the recordings there as well. All right. Okay, everyone. Don't have career regrets. Those 4 career regrets are 100% avoidable if you are proactive and learn what you need to learn. Knowledge is power. Yes? Awesome. Okay, everyone. Have a good one. I'll see you all tomorrow, hopefully. Bye-bye.